Today we're looking at a Valvoline VO-88. This is Valvoline's mass-produced line of filters. This is the kind of filter you would get if you went to a Valvoline Instant Oil Change, a Valvoline Express Care, or a Monroe, or maybe even a mom and pop shop that just happens to like the brand Valvoline and carries Valvoline filters in their shop. It's a pretty standard bulk filter. Instead of a coil spring, they use this metal spring to hold the components in place. This is a very common piece. The more I look at this, the more this actually looks like a Service Champ filter from Champ Labs. Champ Labs does a lot of private labels, so the more and more you go through these filters, you start to realize who's using what components. It's a rubber anti-drain back valve, and this anti-drain back valve is made out of rubber instead of silicone. You'll notice that in the Costa oil filters we use a silicone drain back valve. The reason for that is at higher temperatures the silicone drain back valve is not going to warp, whereas with regular rubber the anti-drain back valve can warp and kind of lose its purpose over time, or vehicles that run hot, it can warp it. Pretty standard paper filter, not in great shape. This came off of a 2002 Chevy Tahoe, a Yukon, a GMC Yukon. The mileage I'm uncertain of how many miles had been driven on this, but just looking at the warps of it, it might have been quite a bit of driving. The amount of filtration, this is a pretty standard pleating, and compressor just kicked on, so it's going to be a little loud for a second. Base plate is actually a pretty sturdy base plate. Has extra inlets. This is the most inlets I've ever seen on a oil filter. It's got extra ones in the middle, but solid base plate. Filter center tube has a plastic inside to keep it from collapsing under immense pressure, and that's pretty standard for bulk filters that a lot of quick lubes use. The filter housing itself is pretty sturdy. It took me quite a bit to go through it. It felt a lot sturdier than the Fram core that I opened the other day. The VO-88 is a pretty common filter. It translates to either a OF2222 or a 160. Not really too much else going on with this particular filter. It's a pretty run-of-the-mill bulk filter that you'll see in quick lube shops, but overall on this Yukon, without knowing how many miles over it went, it's tough to tell, but the pleating is in pretty bad shape, so I'm assuming this ran quite a bit of its course. There's a lot of buildup, there's a lot of sediment built into the bottom of this filter, so this filter probably would have stopped doing its job relatively quickly. And that's kind of the concerns that you can have when it comes to motor oil and filters, is you can have the best oil in the world, but if your filter's not filtering it, then it doesn't matter if you have the Mobil 1 extended performance 20,000 mile oil, because if your filter can only filter 5,000 miles, then it does you no good. But that's it. We got this guy cut open. You can take a look at the still shots. The Costa oil filter number that translates to a VO-88 is a COF 160.